VBA. VBA is short, for Visual Basic for applications. Visual Basic is a coding language that is developed, constructed, and developed, designed, and developed by Microsoft, and it is prevalent across all the Microsoft apps. If you see PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Access, everything has their own VBA. In this course, we are more concentrated on Excel VBA, which automates tasks like Excel, but also we will see some libraries which will connect Excel with other Microsoft apps like PowerPoint and Word, how to control PowerPoint and Word from Excel macros. We will see that. So we won't go deep in PowerPoint and Word VBS. So this course is concentrated on Excel VBA.
Hello,
Yep.
Sharad.
Yes.
Sharad, are you recording it?
Yes. Yes. It is recording.
Sharad, like we need to ask the consent of the students. So just ask the consent of the students and then record it. So it's just like formatting thing, but yeah, it has to be followed. So guys, generally we are recording the things so that we can put it in ECSJ site or something, so that everyone can access that, and then that will be useful for a future reference. So I think everyone is okay with it. So so if anyone has a problem, please let us know. Otherwise, Sharath will go ahead, Sharath. So I think no one will have a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Meetings are set to auto recording for every session. So if anyone has problem, please tell now. Else every meeting will be recorded automatically from the start. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So like we are discussing, VBA is a language, and the code we are writing are called macros. So the codes we write inside the VBA are called macros. So what actually happens is using VBA, we have libraries to connect with other applications, let's say Microsoft applications like PowerPoint and Word. But VBA has been actively used by many other companies. One example is you can see Arena simulation. So in Arena, the simulation can be completely written in VBA because Arena, they don't have to go with their own script. So many simulation softwares like Plant Simulation, FlexSim, Arena, and Simulate. So these are the some of these softwares. They have their own coding language. Like PlantSim has SimTalk, and FlexSim has FlexScript. But Arena, no, for easier integration and cost cutting, Arena has been no integrated with with Exo. So using VBA, you can actually control the Arena. So we have libraries for that also. We won't go that deep. We will see how to connect Microsoft apps in this course. And I will make sure VBA is relatively easy to learn because uh, the first language I have learned was C and C++. I know how much difficult it was. Using all this, the syntax is much more. It's not modern, but VBA it's more like using English language. If something, then what? Uh, and for I equal to 1 to 10, it's like English language. You can quickly adapt to it in no time. So we will go through. And one more thing, the important thing is we will have breaks at first break at 3:30. Is everyone okay with that? 3:30 at 10 minutes break. We will have that. Yeah. And setting up the environment, I hope everyone install Microsoft Office at least 2016 or later. So everything runs seamlessly and without any problems. If you are not aware, actually Concordia University is providing Office 369 account for every Concordian student. So you can actually log into your Office 365 and install the Office on your desktop. Yeah. Okay, we'll right away go into Excel. I will show you how to set up VBA properly in Excel. So I mean, you don't have any problems. You don't go with any problems while running a macro. So first, everyone can go to options, and if anyone has any problem, or if you think I have to slow down a bit, please tell me. So go to options and go to quick access toolbar. Go to customize ribbon, and here, if you see customize ribbon, you have developer tab. By default, it is switched off. You have to tick it. So once you tick it, just click OK. What happens is it will add developer tab inside in your normal Excel layout. So here you can see. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry guys. Yeah. So now you can see
yeah,
Excel, right?
actually, yeah.
Sorry, I am
That's
sorry.
what I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Now yeah, go to options, go to customize ribbon. Yeah, here you can see developer option, right? Here ticket, and click OK. Now you can see developer tab inside your Excel layout. So it will contain all the developer options here. Visual Basic is one of them. You can see multiple options related to Visual Basic. And if you go to options again, in the Trust Center, go to Trust Center settings and go to macro settings. So there are multiple options here for running an Excel containing a macro. So by default, you will have disable VBA macros with notification. So keep this as such. So what actually happens is if you go with this first option, if
Excuse me. Can you please tell it once again how to start the programming from starting?
I'm sorry,
How,
And
how, how
excuse,
how to enable? Yeah. How to
how to
enable
go?
the from starting? Na, you told and you have to go to options and to start.
Yes.
Please sir.
Yeah. So go to options and go to Trust Center. Here, Trust Center settings, and here macro settings. So you can see 4 options here. The first one, by default, the second will be active. So I will tell you what each of this meant. So the first one, disable VBA macros without notification. So what happens is when you open an Excel workbook that contains macros, uh, what first option does is it won't even show any notification, and it won't run the macro. It won't enable the macros. So even if you click if you have some buttons to run a macro inside your Excel sheet, even if you click the button, the macro won't run because you disable the macro without a notification. So the second one, what happens is you will get a notification on opening Excel that macros are disabled. Whether you want to enable it or not. So if you click enable, now you can use the macros inside your workbook. And the third one is some companies, what they do is they after creating the macro, they will digitally sign it. And only when the digital signature is met, the macros will be functioning. Else it will disable the macro. I will show you how to sign the macros in the middle of the course. I will show you how. And the fourth one is enable macro. Whatever macros it is little bit, this option is a little bit, dangerous because let's say, I mean, I will tell you a small example. Uh, I s- no, what I have done is just like a play. I sent a Excel containing a macro to one of my colleagues. So what happens is when you open the macro, it will close down the system without any warning. So if you enable these options without knowing it, what happens is you don't even know that macro is there in the Excel workbook, and you open it, and we have some macros So those macros will run automatically when you open a workbook. So it will run and it will close the entire system down. It will shut down the system. Nothing, all the data is gone. So, don't I suggest everyone that don't use this option and leave it as default. And no, this one trust access to VBA project object model. So we have objects in VBA which we are going to learn. No, you have to give access to it. I mean, this is internal option. So you have to the permission to run the objects from the other project. I mean, from the other libraries like PowerPoint and other applications. So by default, it's not on, I think. So please enable this also. And another one is trusted locations. If you don't want all this hassle playing with the options, add trusted locations inside your system, and you can add any location. You can give any location here. So if you add it and you keep a workbook that has a macro in it, so that macro will run without any problem because that location is trusted. So yeah.
So every time when we get a macro, do we have to actually do the settings again, or do we have to add a
No,
location?
it's a one-time play. So right now I set it everything properly, right? So it's not saved to your profile in your system. So your login, the Excel will have these options enabled whenever you restart your system. So this is a one-time thing. Okay.
So we don't need to do it again and again,
Yeah,
right?
you don't need to do
It's
it.
done.
It's a one-time. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So right away we will go to basic coding. Uh, I'm gonna start with loops and conditions, or the foundations of any coding. Without these loops and conditional statements, there is no programming language exists right now. So before going to VBA, before appreciating VBA, in a proper way, we have to learn this basic coding logics before. I mean, yeah. So we will go through each one, and for each one, I have uh, given an example. We will do it parallelly. I will do it, you will do it. We will run the macro together. Right now, I will use some coding. This is only for introducing everyone to logics. So don't. I mean, we will go through VBA properly in the successive sessions. But now, don't get confused with all these words. Sheet one dot cells. Don't get confused with that. I will tell you. Right now, we will only see how this for loop works, how while loop works. We will go through each one of it. Inside it, I will explain you what it does now, and we have to only concentrate on how the loop functions, nothing else. Everything else we will discuss in a detailed way. So I will go with for loop first. Everyone open the Excel, and if you see, go to developer option. Yeah.
Excuse me. I cannot activate uh, the the option. I mean the macros. I don't know why.
Okay.
The I
You
went.
mean the developer tab?
Yeah. I went to the option. Then I went to customize ribbon, but I don't see the enable option here.
Yeah. There is a developer tab right here. You can't see that. Go to main tabs, and you can
Uh-huh.
see developer.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. You just have to tick
Oh,
it and click OK.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. So now you can see developer tab, and
Excuse me.
yeah.
I'm also having the same problem. I'm not able to see the developer tab. Can you please explain it again? I was not able to, follow through.
Yeah, okay. I will go to file, and go to options. In the options, go to customize ribbon, fourth from the bottom, fourth option. And here on the right side of the screen, you can see developer. Developer is by default it's unticked. you have to tick it, and you ticked it, right?
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it is working. Now it is working. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay. Go to developer and go to Visual Basic. So this is one of the methods to go to Visual Basic. There are multiple methods.
Hey, Sharat.
Yep.
I'm not able to see add-ins and Excel add-ins and also the sheet. I cannot see the sheet. My sheet is blank.
What do you mean? You can't see developer tab at all?
I can see the developer tab, but on
Okay.
the top you have add-ins, you have Excel add-ins.
Yeah. If you see Visual Basic, that's enough for now. I will tell. You can see Visual Basic and macros, recording a macro,
I can see that, but I cannot see the sheet either. There's no sheet on my screen,
I don't understand your problem.
You have a
Okay.
sheet, right? I don't have that entire section of sheet down there. I have only ready and that at the bottom left.
But yeah. So you can't even share the sheet.
No, there's no sheet on my screen.
Normally the sheet appears, right? Even without enabling the developer options and all. What I suggest is close and open the workbook. Maybe some problem with the Excel. Because by default you have to see the sheet at least.
I did that several times. It's not working.
Okay. So you you can't even see the sheet one name. Nothing.
No, I don't see that.
Can you share image in Teams? Your screenshot.
Sure. I'll send the image. Okay. Just a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Customize ribbon. Balance. Okay.
Here you have any question?
I sent a picture.
I had one. I asked. Right. Sorry. I
Yeah.
forgot to raise the hand lower.
Okay. Can't even see the sheet. Okay, go to Visual Basic. Click the Visual Basic button. Can you see the Visual Basic application? Delish. Delish, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. I can hear you.
Yeah. Go to Visual. Just click Visual Basic button.
Okay, I clicked on that.
Yeah. Is it showing any sheets down here? You can see my screen. It's not even showing sheet one.
It's not showing anything over there. No, it's blank. No open
It's
projects
blank.
is what it's showing me.
Then there is some problem with your workbook, with your Excel. Can you quickly grab some other laptop? I will contact you later on how to.
I can do that.
Yeah. Because this problem is a little weird.
Yeah, I don't want to
Everybody
hold up the class. That's okay. I'll open another laptop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I will just suggest if you want.
Sorry.
You can click on file and new. You can try
Okay.
click on file and new. Maybe it might work.
Yeah, maybe that's yeah.
That's another way. Maybe you can try.
And maybe he hasn't even opened the worksheet at all.
Yeah. Try that one. If it works, otherwise, then you have to switch the laptop.
Hey, that's okay. I use another laptop. It's fine on this.
Okay. Okay, so go to Visual Basic. Okay, there are multiple ways to go to Visual Basic. One is going to developer options and clicking it. So it will take you to the Visual Basic. Or no, if you go with the shortcut, it's Alt plus F11. So using the shortcut also, you can go to Visual Basic. Yeah. So everyone on Visual Basic, right? We will start with for loop. So what I normally do when I code is no, if you have two screens, it will be a lot better. That's what programmers do. They will have multiple screens. So they will have one screen dedicated for coding and one screen to see the updates on what their code does. So many of us don't have two laptops, two displays. So what I suggest, just split your screen. Everyone can do that, right? If anyone has any problem, let me know. So you have to split your screen so we can see how the code, code works in the real time. So anyone has any problem? Okay. So first I'll go to this workbook and right click, insert a module. If anyone has any problem, just let me know in between. So I'm starting the coding here. So let's name our code as for loop. I will explain you why is this sub, what is the end sub. I will explain why these are and the brackets are empty. I will explain you everything. For now, it's only about for loop. Okay.
Sorry to disturb. How to start with the module? Could you just repeat after clicking this workbook?
Yeah, no problem. So you will have a VBA application like this. So go to Project Explorer.
Okay.
And right click, insert.
Okay.
Module.
Insert.
Module.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So everyone write what I write. So sub for loop, empty brackets, enter. So what happens is it will automatically insert end sub option. And let's have some gap in between these two. This is where we write the code. So I will just go with for I equal to 1 to 10. So how the for loop works is, yeah.
Sorry, does the upper and lowercase matter, syntax matter in this language or not?
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't matter. What happens is every keyword in Microsoft VBA, every keyword, like these are all keywords, sub, next, end, send, sub, all these are keywords. We will discuss that. Everything, when you enter even in small letters or capital letters, it will automatically make the first letter capital. So by that you have to understand it's a keyword. The first letter in the keyword is always capital. Even if you enter small, it will automatically turn. So I entered for in a small letter, 1 to 10. So
Sorry,
if I click enter.
Okay, you were explaining something?
Yes.
Yeah, just I want to know that I'm not getting the coding screen now. Can you please tell me how it will get?
Okay. I mean, I will suggest everyone. So if you have problem when I'm doing something, just tell right away, because now I have to go back, right? So when I asked you if you can see the screen or not, no, you have to respond. Yeah. Okay. Because it will not take away some time. So when you open the VBA,
Section.
yeah,
Guys, just because it's step-by process, so make sure that you're not focusing on your phone or something else. Don't do anything. Just focus on his screen and focus on the workshop. That's really important. Otherwise, you will lose a lot of time repeating the same steps.
Yes.
So right away when he's showing something, please immediately you can respond. So you can save everyone's time as well. These instructions to all, just don't mind it. Okay, thank you.
This is for everyone because no, I will do something in Excel. If you can't do, just tell me right away, so I will help you. Okay, so once you open Visual Basic, you will have a blank gray sheet like this because there is no module active. So go to this workbook on the left side of the VBA, right click it, insert module.
Actually, I'm not able to see the left
Yeah, okay.
vertical bar. So
Okay. So what maybe the problem is you don't have that bar itself. So go to View on
okay.
Project Explorer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you can see, I think. You can see, right?
Yes, now
Okay.
now it is visible.
Okay. So go to this workbook, insert and module. So this is where we write the code. So sub for loop T brackets. So just click enter. So the keywords, the first letter will be always capital letter and others are small. So it will be automatically changes to that. Yeah. So now I will give you some introduction about for loop, how to use it. So the for loop is it's a loop. It will repeat the same actions, statements, conditions, whatever you write inside it multiple times. So this is how for loop works. So for some counter so this is a counter equal to some value to some value. So the loop, how many times the loop will run? End minus start. So that's the number of times the loop will run. And after giving this, from which number to which number, you will give your conditions. And at the end, so this is the ending condition of the for loop. You have to write next on the counter name. So whichever is the counter here, you have to write that. So I will do the same. So for my counter is I, because I is like iteration. So I equal to 1 to 10. So I want to run the loop 10 times. I'll click, and it's always good practice to write the ending condition also. No, it will save you a lot of time and it will reduce many bugs in your code. So write the starting condition, write the loop ending condition, and give some space. Click enter, give some space. This is where we write the code. So I will write something now, which will be not familiar with many of you, but this is only for for loop, understanding for loop. I will explain each what I write in between in the consecutive sessions. So sheet 1 dot cells. Okay. Before that, I will do something. So I will show you how to write a value in Excel sheet using VBA. So that will be a better starting point. So the sheet name is sheet 1, right? So sheet 1 dot cells. The cells means every one of the cell inside it. Row and column number. So I will give 1, 2. So that means the first row and the second column. So this cell dot value equal to 2. So this is my code, one line. So if I just click run button, it will insert 2 here. So if I click that button, it will insert 2. So we will use the same thing. So for loop, inside that I will write that's 1, 1 equal to 1.
Like excuse me,
Yeah.
You told us that like automatically the first alphabet will become capitalized, right?
Yes,
However,
yes.
when I'm doing it, it doesn't do that.
There'll be some space. You have to give space after that. There'll be some issues.
And
So which one?
is this
Which
tab
keyboard?
sheet one? And is this tab sensitive? Like
Uh,
tab or
yeah,
space sensitive?
yeah, it is sensitive, and it will throw you error right away if you're doing some mistake. So sheet one, you mean sheet one is not capitalized because maybe you were
No, S didn't become capitalized when I wrote it, but now it is. I think it was a tab.
yeah, even if you write everything. So I will do one thing, sheet one dot cells. So you can see everything is not capitalized right now. So 1, 2 dot value. So if you just click enter after this, so it will go through all the line. It will make the keywords capitalized automatically. Okay,
Okay.
just click no tab or enter. Everything is you have to give some no. The code has to understand that you are done with writing that particular keyword. So then it will automatically check that syntax and it will give out. It will throw any errors if there are any errors.
And is tab necessary if you want to write sheet.cells? Should you first click on tab and then start writing?
Not needed.
Okay.
Not needed. But this is a good way of writing the code. You don't confuse. If I do this, if I have like multiple lines of coding, so it will confuse me.
Oh, get it.
It will confuse me where the loop is started, where the loop is ending. I don't know. So if I just give tab, so if you want to give tab for multiple lines, select all the lines and give tab.
Okay.
Give tab will give indent and shift tab will give outdent.
Got
So
it.
by this way, you can see this is the line where my code started and this is the line where it will end. So it's a good way of writing any language.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So sheet one dot cells 1, 2 dot value is 1. So what happens is if I run this particular code right now, what happens is it will give 1 in this particular cell 10 times. No use, right? What I want is every time I want numbers like this 1, 10 times. So I want to print something like this using for loop. This is a use. If I print the same value in the same cell, if I just give 1, 2, it's a static, right? It will just print 1, 1, 1 over in the same cell 10 times. There's no use. So what I'll do, instead of no 1, I will give I. I is the counter value here. So what happens in the loop is every time the loop runs one time, I will increment by 1. That's called step value of the I. So every time the loop runs, the I will increment by 1. So first time when it runs, so it will start from 1 to 10, right? If I give 2 to 10, it will start from 2. So the initial value of I is 2. So if I start with 1, it is 1. So the first time when this code runs, the I value is 1. So cells 1, 2 will be printed. 1, 2 is this one. Second time when the code runs, the I value is 1 plus previous value plus 1. So it's 1 plus 1, 2. So it will cells 2, 2 is this one. 2 and 2, row number 2 and column number 2. And third time it's 3, 2. So the column number is not changing. We are only changing the row number with the counter value. So if I run this code, what happens is it will print one value 10 times. So everyone understood this? Simple loop. Anyone has problem? Just
Sarath,
Yeah,
one thing.
I got
In my code, I have just written, but I haven't entered the value of value word. You have written sheet one dot cells bracket I comma 2 dot value. I forgot to write the dot value part, and still I'm getting my code running.
Yeah. You will get it. I will tell you why the dot value is necessary. Yeah. So there is no need of writing
yeah.
dot value, but
Mhm.
writing dot value is correct way. if you want to print, if you want to give the value of the cell as 1,
Mm-hmm.
no, this one will be assigned as a value. There are
Yeah.
multiple ways of writing to a cell.
Alright.
You can write for use this.
Hello.
Yeah, you can talk.
Yeah, my question is like I am not getting 110 times in a single row, in a single column. Actually, I'm only getting one.
Yeah. So replace cells I comma 2. You have to give I comma 2.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, give I comma 2. Delete
Yeah, thank you.
the things,
It
the
worked.
sheet, and yeah, it will
Yeah,
work.
it worked.
So dot value is one of the properties of the cell. So it will assign the value that is available on the right side to this cell as a value. So there are multiple ways of assigning something that is on the right side of the equality operator. You can assign, you can give formulas, you can give colors, you can give many things. Value, you are specifically mentioning the cell value has to be changed, nothing else. So
Okay,
it's
so
a,
it's not compulsory, but it is recommended to use.
So once you know what to use, which property to use. So the dot value is one of the cell property. Once you know many properties of the cell, you'll automatically know, you will know whether to use dot value or dot color in a particular code. You will know
Okay.
that. So
All
right
right.
now I will tell
So
you, in a detailed
even
way.
if you don't use value,
Yeah,
even if you
even if
don't
you
use
don't use
value,
dot
and
value, it will work
yeah,
for
so
this
that's
case.
like for this case only, it's not equal to 1 is not an alternative to value, right? Dot value.
Sorry, come again.
Equal, like dot value, um, like an equal to sign is not an alternative to dot value, right?
No, this is called equality operator.
Yeah.
In VBA, equality operator, what it does is it will assign the value that is available on the right side to whatever you mention on the left side. So I mentioned the value of particular cell has to be changed. Okay, so the 1 will be given as a value to this particular cell in sheet 1.
Okay, and if we said that sheet 1 dot cells, in bracket whatever, equal operator to 1, so that isn't that actually equivalent to giving value itself? So what's the point of having dot value? Makes sense?
Yeah, I told that a minute back. Cell will have multiple properties. So the cells is a object. It will have multiple properties like dot color. You can assign a formula. You can assign a value to that cell. So this is the first time I'm showing you the code, right? So I will go in a proper way. I want 1 to be in particular cell as a value, not anything else. So I can give some hex value here, something like this. And if I give dot color here, it will change that particular cell color to this. It won't do anything else. So writing, the value is a property of the cell. So when I write some code, I will write it in a proper way, at least in the first part of the course. So everyone has to
Thank you.
understand how the property works. So dot value only assigns the value to that cell. It won't do anything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So everyone is getting it, right? So if I run it, I'll get some value 10 times. If I write 5 to 10, just whenever you change something here, please delete the values in the Excel. So you will see how the code runs. So I gave I equal to 5 to 10 and ran it. So the starting value of I is 5, right? So the first value is 5. So it will print 5 to 10, 6 values, including 5 and 10. So if you give 5 to 2, what will come? It won't do anything, right? Because you have to give A to B. A should always be less than B. A should always be less than B. So I can't give a number which is less than the initial value. So that's one thing. So I will write y equal 1 to 10. And there is one additional syntax for this. It's called step. And you can give one value. So what it does is, if you just click it, it will make the step as blue color. So what it does is, I told you, right, every time the code runs, for every time the loop runs, it will increase the I value by 1 by default. So if I give step 1, it won't do anything. It is the same thing. But if I give step as 2, every time the loop runs, it will increment the value by 2. So if I run this, everyone understood? So it print in the first cell first, because I value is started with 1. Next loop, I have to increase, it will increase 2 to the initial value. So 1 plus 2, 3. So next time it will print in third cell. No, so on. Next time it will be printed in 3 plus 2, 5, fifth cell. So anyone has any problem with this? Please let me know now. So it's like that. If you, yeah.
If we put I in place of 2, then these values will be like incremented in a way like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one in the same cell.
So if you give I here,
No,
I?
as the as the value instead of 2, we put I.
Okay, instead of 2, we'll keep I. Yeah.
And here the same as the previous.
Yeah. So I want specific 2 value is printed before. Now it will print. I will give step as 1. Now it will just print I value. So you will get 1 to 10 values.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we are assigning I as a value here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
All
is
right.
for
So
loop.
when I
Yeah.
when I do what you just did, I put like sheet 1 dot cells in bracket I comma 2 dot value equal to 2. It prints on the Excel sheet something like this: 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. There is no gap, like and there was a space between the cells, right, when you did it.
Okay. So is it like this? Delete it. No, whenever you do, yeah. So what happens is, whenever you run the code, please delete the cells in Excel. So you select everything and delete it. So now we can see what happens actually. So you are not getting this. What is the actual issue?
It's like 2 1 2 1 2 1. There's no space between the twos.
So you are getting output like this.
Yeah.
2 1 2 1.
Yeah, but now I deleted the sheet. Now it's fine. Okay, you're right. We have to delete
Yeah.
the sheet.
So whenever you run the code, please delete, because previous values are 1 1, right? So previous are 1. Now you are just printing 2 here. So let's say I have this. I will run the code. Now it will give me the same as what you have. 2 1 2 1 2 1. Because I forgot to delete the cells which are already existed. That's the output of the previous code. So I suggest you, every time you run the code, please delete all the cells. Click delete and then run the code. Now it will work properly. You don't want the previous values for the current code.
I want to know one thing.
Okay.
Like, am I audible? Hello? Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
I want to know one thing, that the value is being printed on the second column, right?
Yeah.
I want to print the value in the first column.
Okay.
So how it will be done? That
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah. So cells I comma 2, right? What this means is in the ith row and second column, it will print the value. So you just want to change the column number. So I just changed column number from 2 to 1. Now it will print in first column. So if I run the code, it will print in the first column.
Okay, thank you.
Last question. Can you please go over the step again? So basically, steps like just a step from the next to the next row, right? So if you put in 1, it's just going to take 1 step.
No,
If you put in 2, it's going to take. No?
yes, exactly. I won't go with the cells. What step actually does is how much I have to increment the counter value in the next loop. So next step, how much the increment value will be. So by default, it is 1, right? So if you don't give the step 2 at all, so by default, the step value is 1. So it will increment I value 1 every time. So first initial value 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, until 10. It will increment 1 by 1. So if I give step value, let's say step is of 3. Let's give 3. What it does is, so you tell me what happens. So the initial value of I is 1. So the first value will be printed in 1, 1. So this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second value will be printed
In the
so now,
fourth column?
yes,
Fourth
fourth
cell?
row,
A4?
exactly.
Yeah, A4.
Because now what happens is the initial value plus the step value. Step value is 3. So 1 plus 3, 4. So now the I value is 4. So 4, 1. The next one is 4 plus 3, 7. It will print here. Next 7 plus 3, 10. So that's a step value. So it's how much the counter has to increase in each time the loop runs. So if I click it only in the yellow colors, the value will be.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And we will wrap up the for loop now. If anyone has any questions on the for loop, you can ask now.
In my Excel, I'm not getting output in Excel. Once I got, but after changing the values, I'm not getting output values in Excel.
Okay, you have just only referenced sheet 1, right? So make sure you have only one sheet.
Okay.
And the sheet name is sheet 1.
Yes, that is
and
correct.
why it won't run?
Is there any problem with code? Like
No,
write the same thing.
there is no problem with the code. Yeah. So
Can I suggest
see,
something?
check the syntax properly, because someone is talking.
Yeah, can I suggest something? Just clear the cells. Then you can
Okay.
get the.
You can get the result.
No, not yet.
Okay, the code itself is not running over. You have to run the code. You click on the for or something inside the sub procedure. So you click inside and click the play button or F5.
Play button F5.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the top.
Yeah, the for loop is written there in microname.
Sorry.
There is one tab is open.
Okay. Pop-up.
Microname. So I need to run that.
I don't understand. Can you send me the image?
Yes. One pop-up came.
Okay. You will see that.
Sath, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes.
Explain me what is the difference between this workshop and when we open the module 1? Like obviously, when we click on this workshop as well, there is option to code that as well. And also in module 1, obviously we are coding as of now in module 1. So what is the basic difference between the both of them?
Okay. So you see these three options, right?
Yeah.
That's why I told you, no, now concentrate only on the for loop. We will talk about each one of these in the next classes. If you, this is the introduction is only about the loops. Okay, I will tell you, what is this? What is this? What is a module? Why we are going for modules? I will tell you everything properly. But now it's only about the loops. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. That issue is fixed. Still, it is not running.
Yes, still it is not running. I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, please. Have you shared the image?
Yes, yes. By mistake, I sent it 2 times.
Okay. Okay, everything is good. Okay. Yeah. Now, okay. You close this tab called macros.
Okay.
And just click. You can see the play button here, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So just click it somewhere inside the module and click the play button. Play button. It will work. This
Yeah.
macro window,
Yeah.
we will talk about it. Yeah, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Works. Thank you.
Okay. So there are multiple ways of running a macro. This is one. This is one way. Just clicking somewhere inside the module and running the play button. There are other ways also. We will discuss each one of it. So now we will do small exercise using for loop. We will print table like this: 2 times 1 equal to 2. So we have to print until 10 values. Understood, right, everyone? So you guys try it 2 to 3 minutes. Then we will see. So you have to print tables like this until 10. So 2 into 10 is equal to or shall I do this and I will give you little complex one, or you will try doing this? Anyone has problem, let me know. So if anyone stuck, please refer this code.
Can we change the alignment of the of our symbols in the cells from left, right to mid? Is there a code for that?
Okay. You mean the alignment here? This one? Yeah, in VBA we can do anything, everything. Excel, what we can do in Excel, all these functions. But no, we will talk about it later.
And would the symbols always be? It's similar to Python, so they have to be actually within hysterics, right? Like for
Sorry.
example, for the operators, like for example, the multiplication for the x sign, which we're representing in column B, that's basically a symbol, right? So that has to be within hysterics always.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to tell. The x in these 5 values in every row, the x and equal to or symbols we will normally use in mathematics. But we don't put symbols right away. We will keep symbols as text because we are not using the symbols in any way. So we are writing that symbols as text value, string value. So any string value here, any string value you mention in VBA has to be inside inverted commas. So x and equal to or text values or string values, they have to be always inside inverted commas. So understood, right? So it doesn't matter if I just keep no multiply here. Multiply is again a text value. So I will keep multiply in inside the inverted commas and I will run the program again. It will give multiply here. 2 multiply 1. Okay, so it doesn't matter. The symbols are not needed right now. So we will use x and equal to as text values. Understood?
Yes.
And the value in the 5th column, that is a multiplication, you can actually use any arithmetic operator or arithmetic operations. Like multiplication is one of it. So 2 into I. So I am just multiplying 2 of them. So it will return the multiplied value of these 2 variables. So everyone can do this. You're getting the output. Yeah, I'm continuing with the next one. So if anyone wants time, please let me know. So next we will go with while loop. So yeah, so the while, so in the for loop, what happens is we just run some statements inside the for loop. We will run some statements for some value to some value. So for I equal to 1 to 10, we will run the statements inside the loop. So it will run exactly 10 times based on the step value. But we are not checking any conditions in the loop. So if this happens, no, exit the loop. We are not writing anything. It will run 10 times, no matter what. But if you want to check some, let's say you have one particular requirement, you have to run the loop as long as possible until some condition is met. Okay, so for loop, we don't know how many times you have to run because we don't know whether the condition is met or not. So there is one more loop called while loop. So we will start with while loop right now. So I'm gonna declare one variable. This is a counter variable. Counter as integer. I will tell you why dim y as integer. I will tell you everything. Now don't worry about these things. So this will actually declare counter as an integer, and we will assign some value to the counter. So initial value is 0. and while counter is less than 20. So similar to we will use next for ending the for loop, we will use w end. So it's called while end. We will use this particular syntax to end the while loop. So whatever we write here, it will run continuously until the counter value is greater than or equal to 20. Until that the statements will run forever. So I will write sheet 1 dot cells enter comma 1 equal to 5. So if I run this, what happens? Can anyone? If I just run this code, some weird thing will happen. Can anyone tell? By just looking at it.
We haven't given any increment. So maybe that will be the issue because we haven't given increment to the counter.
Yeah, before that, one more error will first of all, we can't even print a value here because I started counter with value 0 and there is no 0th row, right? We start in Excel sheet, we start with first row. There is no 0th row. So it will try to print value in cells 0, 1, which is not found here. So if I run this particular code, it will show error. I will tell you how to debug any error. And now it will show that error, particular some error. So no, you have to make sure the rows and columns are not negative or 0. So whenever you run the code, make sure rows and columns are always positive integers. So counter is 0. So what I will do? Yeah, like you said, I will increment counter by 1. Counter equal to counter plus 1. So whatever I give on the right side of the equality, it will assign to the left side. So counter is 0. So 0 plus 1. The 1 will be assigned to counter. So now the counter value is 1. So if I run this, what happens? Yes.
It's always going to be more than 1. So basically, that's going to happen. So what happens if we just start the counter at 1? Would that just resolve the issue?
Yes. If you start with counter 1, it won't be any issue. I just intentionally return 0 as a counter value to explain, there. Understood?
So it's going to, so if you actually do what you're doing right now, it's going to keep on adding to a row, right?
Yeah.
It's
So what
rows.
I'm right now I'm doing, I'm incrementing the counter in the first step. So what happens is these statements will run forever until this condition is true. When this condition is false, it will automatically come out of that loop, while loop. So I will increment the counter value 0, initial value. So for every time the loop runs, counter value increment by 1 because I'm incrementing by 1. There is no automatic increment like we seen in the for loop. In the while loop, it will only check for this condition. So counter is increment by 1. So first time the counter value will be 1, 1, 1, 5. This one. Next time the loop runs counter equal to 1 plus 1, 2. It will paste in 2, 1 cell here. And 19th, 20th time, what happens? Counter is 19. 19 plus 1, 20. Counter is 20. So it will print 20, 1 here. It will print value here. Next time what happens? Counter value is equal to 20. But the condition is counter less than 20. So the condition, no, it doesn't met the condition. So the the code the code run will come out of that loop. So if I run this, it will print until 20. So next time when it goes, it will check counter value is 20, which is not less than 20. So it will come out of that loop. So everyone can write this code.
Can you tell us what is a dim counter as integer?
Yeah. So that I'm actually creating a variable with a name I want. So dim is declaration in memory. So this is variable declaration, which we will come later. I will tell you what it is. Right now, don't worry about this. Just no, just assume counter as some variable which you can give a name. We will refer that counter. So for easier understanding, you can give any name here. If I give, no, it's a count variable. It's my wish. I will declare some variable with any name I want as any data type I want. So that's called variable declaration. We will come with that. This you have to understand how the while loop works. That's all. Nothing else.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
My Excel is giving me an error on the sheet 1.cells line. It's saying that there's an error on it.
Which error it is stating? Can you
I'll
give
share
the
a,
error
I'll,
again?
I'll share a picture. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
share a
Okay.
picture.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sharath, can we use next? No. Next is not in while loop, so we can't use that. So while loop, there is no automatic way of incrementing any integer, any counter value. So you have to increment it manually. Okay, there is nothing wrong with the code. So you can't able to run this code.
Yeah.
So what's the error it is showing?
The error it's showing is that application defined or object defined error,
Object,
runtime
okay.
error.
Yeah, what you will do, please, now whatever you done right now, please save the workbook. Save with some name somewhere. I will save in desktop.
No, I figured out. I pressed delete when I was selecting out the columns, but when I didn't actually delete the data in it, so I needed to do control negative. Now it's working.
Okay, but I suggest you save the workbook and break the code and run the code again. So it is better way. And of course, you have to delete all the content in the sheet every time. So save it. Save as everyone. Please do it. Save it as macro enabled workbook. I will tell you what it is. Save it as macro enabled workbook. The second option. Yeah. So what we will do, we will write the same. We printed second table, right? 2 multiplied 1 is equal to 2. We will do the same with while loop. So I want until 90. So 2 into 90 is equal to 180. So I want to see something like that. Can you do it? Can you guys do it? Then quickly we will go to next loops after this. Understanding while loop, all these loops are extremely important before actually going to VBA, because VBA is completely different level tool. So without these basics, we can't excel ourselves in VBA. So I will make sure everyone will be strong in coding, basic coding before that. So please try to print the second table until 92 into 90 with the while. So we will see until 3:23, 4 minutes. Yeah. So any problem while executing the code? Anyone? Yeah. So I hope everyone done with the coding. Everything works, right? Any problem, please let me know. Okay. So like I said, the for loop and while loop, you can give some condition before exiting the loop. So I'm just checking whether counter variable is less than 90 or not. If it is greater than or equal to 90, I will just come out. So I don't know how many times I have to run these conditions before meeting this condition. Here I have given count variable as a straightforward, just give +1 every time. But what if I have some weird formula to calculate the count variable? Then I don't know how many times I have to run the loop by the time the count variable is exceeds 90 value. But for loop is defined. You have to run I equal to 1 to 100 means 100 times. That's how it won't run more than that. We can break the for loop, but we can't run more than 100 times. So that's the difference between a while and for loop. I hope we can continue. Anyone has problem? I'm going to next loop. Next we have a do while loop. Okay, while loop and do while are little different. With do while loop, we can actually what we can do is we can check the what happens is what happens is while loop you can't run the code if the count variable is greater than 90 the first time. Let's say my count variable is 90, the initial value. Everyone can hear me, right? Anyone can respond?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the while loop, what happens is if your count variable is 90, it won't run because it is expecting the count variable counter should be less than 90. If my starting value is 90, it won't even run. But sometimes what you want is you want that code to run at least once, like checks for some conditions at the end, not at the start. Okay, so what if I have some loop which checks condition at the end of the loop? So insurance. So then what happens is I can run the code at least once. I can run these conditions at least once and then check the condition at the end. So you will have some, no, sometimes you might require something like that. For that we have something called do while loop. We will go with yeah. So what? Delete everything and create this do something while some condition. So let's say I will give you a proper example how do while will work. A counter is so now what happens, whatever you write here will run at least once before checking the condition. So if I give counter as 0 also, it will run because it's only checking the condition at the end of the loop, not at the start of the loop. So that's the main difference between while loop and do loop, which has the condition at the end. So I will write again sheet 1 dot cells counter comma 1. So what happens is counter is 0. It will run all this. Okay, we will give counter as 1. Yeah, because 0 again shows some error because there is no 0th row. So it will run, and then at the end it will increment the counter value by 1. But the counter is greater than so counter will be 2 now. So count is greater than 1. So it will keep on running until the counter value is no greater than 11. So these two conditions has to be met. Again, so the and here I have used and. No, and is one of the logical operator which we will use to combine the conditions. So you have and or. So and will check both the conditions to be true in order to execute the loop. There is some other logical operator called or. It will check only one of the conditions to be true. So any one condition satisfies, the loop will run. We want both the conditions to be satisfied. So write and. So counter variable will be 11 at one point. Then no the count. So this condition won't met. Then won't meet. It will stop then. So understand the difference between this and the while loop. So it won't check the conditions before. So this same do while loop. Okay. One more thing is you can use until also in the place of while. Both are same. While or until. Both keywords have same functionality. So what I will do, I will just take this out. I will keep it here. So it will convert to while loop. Now it will check at the start of the condition. This syntax will also work. Now the code run will check at the start of the loop. While the counter is greater than 1 and less than 11, run this. Counter value is 1, which is not greater than 1. So it won't run. So if I just run it, it won't even print any values because nothing is ran inside the loop. So understood? So just by replacing from top to bottom, I can run it and I can get the values. So these are little, very small differences how we write the syntax. Depends on what's the requirement. Okay, anyone has any problem with this? We will continue to next loop. Okay. So now we will see if conditions. So now we have seen the loops.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
If the, as you said that if the counter value is greater than 1, if we put a counter value is equal to 2, and we put the do while loop, so it will run.
Shall I change it to 2? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
So yeah, if I change it to 2, what happens? It will run because I'll delete this. Because now the counter value is 2, which is greater than 1. It is met this condition. Value 2 is less than value 11. It met this condition also. Both conditions are met. Go inside. Yeah, understood?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So in a do loop, you can actually give the condition on top or bottom. If you give on top, it becomes while loop, which we discussed before. If you give at the bottom, it will become something little different. You will check the condition only after running at least one loop. It will check at the end of the loop. That's the only difference. And one good thing we can do in the do loop is anywhere if you don't want to. Okay, we will talk about if condition now. If counter is greater than 8, then end if exit 2. So here I have shown you how to use if loop, if condition, no, not loop, if condition, and there's one syntax called exit 2. So you don't want, no, you want to check some extra conditions, not only these two conditions, some extra conditions. You can write here if the conditions, then you can write anything here. So what I want is not 11, but if the count is greater than just greater than 8, just exit the loop. I don't want it. So exit do, what it will do is right away it will exit this loop. It won't check anything. It will exit do means the loop exits. The code run will go here. It will come out of that loop no matter what. So if you want to check some additional conditions inside the loop, and if you want to exit from the loop based on these conditions, you can use a combination of if statement and exit do. I forgot to mention actually for loop also we have exit for. So it doesn't matter if you want to, if you just give I equal to 1 to 100, it doesn't necessarily run 100 times. If you don't want it, you can check some condition inside the loop and you can just write exit for in case you just want to come out of that loop. You want the difference between while loop and for loop. Okay, just by the bare bones, for loop, I will explain again what's the difference between for loop and while loop. While loop checks the condition to run the loop. For loop checks no condition to run the loop. For loop runs from some initial value to some end value. So if you see here, for loop runs from start to end, whatever values you give here. It won't check any condition. It's your wish if you want to add some conditions inside the loop. and if you want to exit the for loop after checking the condition, it's your wish. By default, as a bare bone of the loop, there is no condition. It will just keep on running the loop from start to end. And if the value is more than end, it will come out of that loop. As simple as that. While the while loop, it will check some condition before running the loop. So this is useful when you don't know how many loops to run. In our case, I want to print 2 into 10 equal to, until 2 into 10 equal to 20. That's all. I don't want anything more than that. So I know how many loops it has to run. So I just give 1 to 10. But let's say I don't know. I want the some variable to be less than or greater than some value. Until then, just keep on running the statements. I don't know when this will come. When this will will be more than 11. I don't know. In here it is straightforward. I just given count equal to counter plus 1. But normally, if you when we write the VBA course, we don't know, many things changes parallelly. So counter may be some weird formula which we don't know. So we don't know how many times the loops we have to run. So instead of using for, it's better to go with while. If you are if you know VBA coding better, I mean, if you know how to write VBA code properly, if you become some medium to expert level, you will run anything with for loop. You can run anything with while loop. You don't need anything else. Just using for and if or while and if, you can complete a whole project. You don't need to you don't need exactly for loop. You don't need to learn all this. But every loop will have their own advantage internally. So while loop checks the condition, you don't want for and if to check the conditions. There you are using two different one loop and one if condition. While here you are using just while loop. There is no additional thing you are using. So it will be a little faster than using for loop with if condition. Then no, it will be more faster than using two conditions, right? So so internally, if you become expert, you can use one loop to solve many problems. But if you're really an expert, you will know when to use each loop. It makes everything a bit easier. That's so. Any questions? Still any issues understanding the differences between the loops?
So what you're saying is that for a for loop, we don't actually have to put in a condition, but for a while loop, we need a condition, right? That's the main
Yeah,
difference.
while loop takes some condition. While loop takes some condition. Until the condition is true, it will keep on running the statements, whatever you give inside the loop. When the condition becomes false, when counter is in this case, when counter is more than 11 or equal to or more than 11, it will just come out of that loop. It only checks condition. For loop, it will run from 1 to 10. That's all. It doesn't need any condition. You know how many times the loop has to run. You will just give one, no, that many times the loop. Understood?
Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Shall we take 10-minute break now? We will join again by 3:50. And then we will continue.
When we join back, can you do a recap on do and the do while?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. Gupta, you have any question? Abhijit? Okay. I'll explain again what's the difference between a for loop and a while loop, and a while loop and a do while loop. For loop runs the code, what's inside it, for specific number of times. We know where to start the counter value and we know when to end the counter value. You just want to run some code for specific number of times, you will use for loop. You're not checking anything, you just want something to run 100 times. You write I equal to 1 to 100 and everything works fine. You know how many times it has to run. While loop, let's say you have one particular requirement, you don't know how many times the loop has to run, but you know when the loop has to stop. After meeting some condition, the loop has to stop. It may run 10 times or 1,000 times, you don't know it. So then it's very inefficient to use for loop. So using during those times we will use the while loop. While some condition, write something, it will keep on running the code. We don't know how many times it will run the code until the condition is met. Until the condition is true. When this condition becomes false, it will automatically come out of that loop. That's all. And do loop has two instances. One is two syntaxes. One is writing the condition at the start of the loop, and one is writing the condition at the end of the loop. So if I write condition at the start of the loop, what happens is it will check the condition first and then go inside the loop. If I write the condition at the end of the loop, no matter what, whether the condition is met or not, it will at least run this all statements once before checking the condition. So that's a basic difference between all these loops. And if I like I told you, everything is like English, simple English. If something, then do something, end if, close if loop. So if loop is that. So it will check this condition. Only if the condition is true, it will go inside and run this and come out. If the condition is not met, it won't even run this. What is inside. So any questions? We are going out of these basics. Okay. Assume there are no issues right now. We will do one example, then we will talk about other things. We will go to another topics. Okay, you have to print. So let's say 1 into 1 equal to 1. Like that, you have to print the first table, not in 5 columns, but just in 1 column. I'll show you how to do that. Then I will give one simple task. So we'll use the for loop equal to So if you see here, I can able to print complete that multiplication value in just one cell, not in 5 rows, 5 columns. So for doing this, I'm using something called Ampersand, which it concatenates the string or values together, and it will form a big string using small strings. So what happens is 2, it will take it will convert the 2 value as a string, and it's like this ampersand is like plus symbol. So whatever mathematical operator plus, it is like that, but it joins 2 strings, not 2 numbers or 2 values. It will join 2 strings. So it will assume 2 as a string, and it will add into multiplication symbol, and it will add I. I value is 1 or 2 or 3 based on the loop run, and it will add equal to symbol, and it will add the multiplication value. So it's like hybrid way of writing everything in one line. Any questions here? Okay. So what we will do, the task is using for loop inside for loop. I will show you a small example how to use a for loop inside a for loop. It's called nested loops. We are nesting the loops one inside other. So for j, I already used I, right? So I will use j, whatever whatever name I can. Next j. If you see, so instead of just printing in one column or printing in one row, I printed some values to a range. It starts from cells 1, 1. It ends at cells 10, 10, 10th row and 10th column. So for this, I have to use a loop inside a loop. So what happens for I equal to 1? So everything starts with I as initial value, I equal to 1. J loop runs for 10 times. Whatever is inside J runs for 10 times for I equal to 1. So I is 1, J will be 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So I is 1, J will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will be keep on looping until J is equal to 10, and it will come out. Next I equal to 2. Then what happens for 2, J runs from 1 to 10. For I equal to 3, J runs from 1 to 10. So this is how we will write loop inside loop, and we will use those values. So here I will use cells I comma j. So I is let's say I is equal to 2, 2 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 2 comma 3, 2 comma 4 until 2 comma 10. So it will print 2 comma 10 this row. So every time I runs, one row will be printed. Understood everyone? Any questions here? Okay. So now I will tell you one thing which will be easier to debug the code. That is called breakpoint or trigger point. So you will see a gray bar right in the left side of the code. So click somewhere, anywhere. So you will insert something called breakpoint. So when you run the code, it will stop at this particular breakpoint. So now everything runs automatically, right? It will just run 10 times the loop. It will run 10 times, and everything runs for 100 times here, 10 into 10, and it will close the loop and it will end the code. But what happens when I keep trigger point here? So if I keep a trigger point here, everyone keep it and just run the code. The whole line will turn as yellow. Let me know when you can see it. So now you can step into each one. how the, I mean, you can step into each line of code, how it happens when the loop proceeds. So for that, there is something called, sorry. Okay. So this is not active by default. What you will do, you go to view, toolbars, and enable debug, edit, and standard, all these three. So if you enable, go to view, toolbars, enable debug, you will get one particular set of functions which are important for debugging the code. So this is one of it. So there is something called step into. So what happens if you click this, it will proceed one by one, one line by one line. So I won't click this button every time. I will use just F8 every time. So I will just click F8. The code keeps on running line by line, and you can see in real time how the value is updating the sheet. If you can see, every time I click it, it will print some value. So if I just keep on pressing F8, it will run a little faster. So everyone can do this, right?
Can you please repeat how to see this?
Yeah, go to view.
Yeah.
Toolbars.
Yes.
And debug.
Yeah.
Go to view, toolbars, and debug.
Okay.
And you will get a little something like this, right? Little bar, toolbar. You just you just snap it anywhere you like.
Okay.
So I will normally snap it right under the this play buttons under.
Okay.
So here you will get something called step into. So it will execute the code step by step. It will go inside that particular line every time. Okay. So keep trigger point here, first line of the code, and run the code.
I'm sorry, can you tell the trigger point again? How to add the trigger point?
So you will have a gray bar, right? Gray column bar on the left side of the code. You just left click your mouse. You can insert as many trigger points as you want.
Thank
so
you.
what happens at the trigger point is the code execution stops. It will wait until you proceeded. So I'll click here and I'll run the code. The code stops there. It will wait for your input. So what I will do, I will just click F8. F8 is step into. What F8 does is it will run the code one by one. So for now, if you go on the I value, it shows empty. If you hover over the I value, it will show empty because the line is not ran. So it can't read the value. If I click F8, this line execution is complete. Now the I value shows as 1. So this is an important way. This is a very important step whenever you are debugging any code. So hover around the value, it will show that value as a little pop-up. So now I is 1, J will show as empty because the line is not ran. So if I run it, J will run. So this loop, this statement will run for 10 times, right? Because J runs from 1 to 10. So for I equal to 1, J runs 10 times. So current J is 1. So I is 1, J is 1. So 1 cells 1, 1. That is here. That is here. Let me. Okay. Cells 1, 1 is I into J. You can write anything here. Just I have written some multiplication of these two. I into J. So I is 1 and J is 1. 1 into 1, 1. So if I just click F8 again, it will print 1 here. Now next I. What happens at the next is it will check whether J value is greater than 10 or not. Now the J value is 1. So it will run until the J is 10, right? So J is 1 is less than 10. So it will run the loop again. So now if you go around the J value, it will show as 2 because J incremented by 1. So now it will print in cells I is 1. J is 2 and I is 1. So I is 1 and j is 2. So 1 and 2 here. It will print 1 into 2 value in 1 2 cell. So if you keep on doing this, for just I equal to 1, j run for 10 times. The loop runs for 10 times. Now the j value is 9. It will run. Now the j value is 10. So j value is 10, which is the ending value. So it will come out of that for loop, this for loop. Now it will go to I again. I is 1, which is less than 10. So it will increment I by 1. So now I is 2. For 2 again, this particular will run for 10 times. So for 2, cells 2, 1 is 2 into 1, 2. So you can keep on clicking the button F8. Understood? I will just remove my breakpoint. Just run it. It will run automatically. Because there are no breakpoints, it will run automatically. So this is how we normally debug. Breakpoints are extremely important in debugging. Everyone can. Is there any problem with for anyone working with breakpoints? Okay. Okay. Now we have some. I will give you some tasks. If you have any free time until before the next class, you can try it. You try to you try to print the prime numbers from 1 to 100. That's one task. Don't use this code if you stuck at any point. And Fibonacci series, it's this is how it looks. So Fibonacci series is one of the main important series in mathematics. So 0 and 1 are the initial values, and it will just add the previous two values. So 0 plus 1, 1. Then previous two values, 1 plus 1, 2. Previous two values, 3, 5, okay, 8. So this will quickly grow into some really big value. If you keep on writing this, by 20 or 25th value, your number will be astronomical, very big number. So you keep on doing like this. You want, let's say the code should print 20 Fibonacci series. So you have to print 20 or 30, some defined number of Fibonacci series using this same method. You have to just keep adding the previous two values, and that's the next value. Previous two values, and that's the next value. 34, 55, something like that. Okay. So you write these two prime numbers and Fibonacci series. You try these two, and also try to print 1 to 10 tables. We will quickly do that right now, so you will get some idea. So what I will do, I will just quickly print 1 to 10 tables using two for loops. So I'll just remove this. No need. I1 to 10, J1 to 10. Sheet 1 dot cells. So when I'm this is how we define the logic. When I want to print first table, the first column is always always constant, right? Only the row number changes. 181, 182, 182, 183. So everything I am printing in the first column itself. For second table, I will print in second column, third column, fourth table, fifth column, fifth table. So for 10 times, my column number should be constant. So in I and J, which will be constant for the first 10 loops? Anyone? Is it I or J, which is constant for the first 10 times?
J.
J.
J, no, I will be constant. I told you, right? For I equal to 1, J will run for 10 times. For I equal to 2, J will run for 10 times. So for the initial value I is equal to 1, J will keep on incrementing from 1 to 10. So for I equal to 1, J1, for I equal to 1, J2. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. So J is increasing, not I. So whichever loop, so here we call I loop as parent loop, and the loop inside it as children loop. Children will run many times before the parent loop upgrades. Okay, so J will keep on incrementing for every I value. Okay, so what I want here, I want the column to be constant. So I will make the loop run 10 times with constant column number. So I have to keep I as a column number and j as a row number. Understood? Any problems here? So what is the value here? I just want to print the table, right? So for y, first table is one table. So 1 into 1 is equal to 1. 1 into 2 is equal to 2. And the second time it will upgrade as 2 into 1 is equal to 2. 2 into 2 is equal to 4. So I will write I into j. Okay, you have to add text ampersand every time. I into j is equal to into j. So 1 into 1, 1, 1 into 2, 2, 1 into 3, 3. So for 10 times it will just print first table. Next time the loop runs, I becomes 2. Again, j will run from 1 to 10 for I value 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, this one. Then 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2. Like that. So we will use a breakpoint and we'll see what happens. So we'll run the code. It will show yellow. Now j value is 1, I value is 1. 1 into 1 is equal to 1. Then F8, j value is 2, I value is 1. J value is 2, I value is 1. So it will print value here, cells I, j, I. It will print the value here. Which will print 1 into 2 is equal to 2. If I click this, so it will just keep on printing in first column. I will give you some time to understand. Okay, now j ran 10 times. Now it will come out of j loop. It will come out of this loop. Now it will increment I by 1. So I will become 2 now. Again, j will be running from 1 to 10. Understood? So if I just remove the breakpoint, run it, will print all the 10 tables. I'll give you some time to understand, 2 or 3 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes. If you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, I hope there are no questions. I'll proceed to next topic. So you try to write this, find the prime numbers from one number to, let's say, from 1 to 100. Print all the prime numbers only, and print the Fibonacci series, and it will help you to make yourself better with all these loops. How to run how to use the for loop and if loop, if conditions and all. Okay.
Will you share this PPT with us?
Yes, I will share the PPT with you. Okay. So now, okay, so I hope everyone understands the basics basics of any coding language. These are the loops and conditions. With these basics, you can learn any loop. You can go with Python also. It will have same loops. C, C++, Java, Python, everything has same loops logic. Only the syntax changes. Here we will start for I equal to 1 to 30. In C, what we will do for bracket, I equal to 1, I less than I equal to something, I equal to 30. So only the syntax changes. The logic, how the for loop runs, how the while loop runs, it won't change. Any coding language will be like that. So these are like founding steps for any coding language. Okay, now we will go for recording a macro. Okay, now you can just close this VBA and maximize your Excel. Okay, so what we'll do, we will just do a short functionality which automatically records as a macro. Go to developer and click record macro. So it will ask for macro name. You can give add new sheet, any name you want, and you can assign a shortcut key. There's one good thing is assign only the capital letters like control and let's say I have given just control S. What happens is control S is already assigned for saving the workbook, right? Saving the content. So it will create some disturbances while you're writing the code or while you running the macro. So don't confuse and just give capital letters because there are no shortcuts with the capital letters. So now you can assign those capital letters to the macro. What happens is when I just click control plus capital S, it will run this particular macro. So now the macro name is given, macro shortcut is given. Store the macro in this workbook. I'll explain you the others in the next classes. And you can add the description. It will add new work sheet. Just click OK. Now if you see, at the bottom here, it will if you go over there, it says a macro is currently recording. Don't click anywhere. The macro is currently recording. Click to stop recording. This button will convert from red to complete white. It means the macro is currently recording. Here also it will show us recording is going on. Stop the recording. Okay. Now what I will do, I won't do anything. I will just click plus button here, which will add a sheet. Then stop the recording. Okay. Now what happens? I'll go to macros. For loop, you can okay, if you go to macros, you can see add new sheet macro, which we just created using the record macro. If I just run it, it will keep on adding the sheets. Go to macros, run it. This is one way to run the macro. What's our shortcut? Control capital S, right? If you click Control Shift S, it will keep on adding the sheet. Everyone can do that, right?
No, my record macro but option is there, but I can't click on it. It's faded out.
Don't understand. What is the issue?
I'll send a pic of the code.
Basically, the record macro button is faded out, so we can't use that function. So
Yeah.
we have missed something, or there might be something else.
Go to options, trust center, go to macro settings. Please keep these settings in your laptop also.
is the enable Excel 4.0 macros when VBA macros are enabled an important
yeah,
option?
keep these settings, whatever. Yeah, keep these settings.
Yeah, I don't see that one in my Excel sheets.
Okay, maybe yeah. Mine is updated. Which Microsoft Office, by the way, you are using?
2016.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
So these two are okay, right? You have enabled this and this.
Yes.
First access. Okay. What about this button at the bottom? Here you have one button to record the macro. Is that also disabled?
Yeah, I'm trying to press that. That's also disabled.
What is the issue? Make sure design mode is switched off, and just close and open your workbook. That's why, because I can't take your laptop to see the problem. Just close and open the workbook.
Doing that. Yeah, now it's showing.
Okay, you added a new blank workbook. It's showing now?
Yes.
Perfect. So again, you can record a macro from bottom here, this button, or top, record a macro. So just record it, give some name, give capital Q, S, whatever you want. Only give capital letters. Just click OK. Just add a sheet and stop the recording. Now to run the same macro, go to macros, run, it will add a new sheet. Because that's the thing that is recorded. So after we click recording, we just added a new sheet that is recorded in the macro. It will keep on running the same code. So I will just use my Control Shift S. We'll keep on adding one sheet at a time. Okay, now record a macro 2, Control capital A, and right click, delete, stop the recording. Done that? So it will show some error, right? So if I run the second macro that is given to delete the sheet, if I run it, it will show error, subscript out of range. Basically, subscript out of range, the error defines that you have given me to delete one sheet which not exists in the range of the sheets. So we will see why that is happening. Before that, I will show you how the macro runs when it is parallel. When we have screen, how the macro runs in real time. So delete all the macros again. Delete all the macros. You select it and delete it. Delete all the sheets. Okay. So I'll just click start recording. Macro, add new sheet, Control S. Yeah. Now you can see it added something called some module automatically. Open that module. Now whatever you do, it will automatically update here. Because now it is recording the macro. Now you can see what is been happening. No, in the real time. Everyone can see that, right? Any issues here? Now what I will do, so okay, if you select something, it's called range b2 dot select. So you can mention this cell, particular cell, as cell 2, 2 or range b2. This one is range f5, this particular cell. So by default, it will just do that range e7 dot select. It is selected dot select. And now what I'll do, I'll just add sheet. Automatically it will add some code, sheets dot add. Don't worry about the code syntax. We will go in detail everything.
Hey, Sharat.
Sheet, yes.
Unable to follow since a minute.
Okay.
Can you repeat from where you deleted the modules?
Yes. Okay. I will do. I will remove everything. I will start from scratch again. Okay.
So you
now
right clicked on the module and you remove module, right?
Yeah. It will be like this. So you will have module like this. Right click it, remove the module. Do you want to export the? Actually, what happens is we can export the code into some text or a DAT file.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want it, so I just click no. It will
No.
delete. Okay. Okay. So everything is good. There are no macros. There are no sheets. Only one sheet. Now, I'll click the recording button. Again, I'll give add sheets. Control S. Okay. If I just click OK, it will add module 1. So it will show what is the macro name and what is the keyboard shortcut. So these are actually called comments. We will see that. And what the recording does is wherever you click, whatever you do in Excel while the macro is recording, it will add that. So I click this particular button, this particular cell. It's a G3. So it will just select range G3 dot select. So whatever you do, it will record. Let's say I have entered some values. So this is how it will enter by default. So if I select everything, delete. So it adds everything, whatever we do. I don't want all this. Select it, delete. I just want to add one sheet. So sheets dot add after active sheet. That's what it entered. So what it does is this is the active sheet before. This is the active sheet. So this will just add a sheet after the active sheet. You can give before the active sheet or after the active sheet, is your wish. We are adding, and let's say we are doing this. I'm just control left click of the mouse. You can copy that sheet somewhere else. So it will do that. So whatever you do in the macro, it will do. So this is how you record something. And any questions here? So we will come to this. What is the main issue with recording is you can only do the actions what you can do in Excel by yourself. But what we have done before, like running the loops, while loop, it's a logical thinking, right? You can't do that by record a macro. Record macro is for small tasks like adding sheets or adding some values. With with more time, you can do some complex complex code by recording a macro. You can do that, but it's not efficient. It's better to learn VBA code and do some task. No, other than just recording a macro. Main thing is recording a macro doesn't do any logical thinking. It will just record whatever you does. That's all. It won't. If I want to check whether 1 is greater than 2 or not, it can't do that because whatever you do here only it will take. If I write some formula, if this is greater than this, I will just write some Excel formula, then give S Just you know. What is the problem? Okay. So again, text, right? You have to use inverted commas. Okay, now I'm just no. So it entered what I have written also. It entered the diff formula. Formula R1C1 is equal to some blah 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 blah. We will discuss it. No, don't worry. So it will enter whatever you do. It won't do any logical thing apart from what you have done. To do logical thinking, you have to write macros manually. Okay, these are for people who doesn't require coding or for small tasks, something like that. Okay. Now we will proceed. Okay, now we will talk about Visual Basic Editor. What is it, and what is each segment here? If you can see here, let's say now there is only one workbook called Book 1. Book VBA project Book 1. I will go Excel again. Add one more workbook. It is Book 2. So this is different workbook. But in my Project Explorer, this is called Project Explorer. It will show Book 2 also. If I add another thing, it will show here. So this is VB editor, Visual Basic Editor. This is where we write the code, right? So this is a central place. Any number of workbooks you open, all the control will be in just one window. It's not multiple windows. I have two open workbooks, but I have only one window to control the two workbooks. The Book 1 is here, Book 2 is here. So Book 2 is here. So VBE is a central place to control all the macros across all the currently opened workbooks. Okay. And there are multiple ways to enter this VBE from Excel. One is just clicking Visual Basic, and from Visual Basic you can click this button. So you have to click the far left button to enter VBE. In VBE, far left button to enter Excel. So we have both full screen. Click this Excel, click this Visual Basic. So it's a little shortcut to quickly enter the Excel workbook, active workbook. And yeah, and one more thing, this is a little important. We can open and close, we can open and close a VBE, a Visual Basic Editor. We can open and close whenever we want. I will close it. If you want it to open again, I will open it again. Nothing happens. Everything is there intact. But if I don't have at least one active workbook, let's say I have that VBE is open and I have only one workbook, right? If I close this workbook, VBE closes automatically. So that's the difference between closing a workbook and closing VBE, Visual Basic Editor. So you can use the Excel workbook and open and close VBE whenever you want, but you can't do the other way around. If you close a workbook, at least one workbook is not open, the VBE closes automatically. And so this is called the Project Explorer. If you don't have it, go to View and click on Project Explorer. It will open it. This is properties of the object present in the Project Explorer. If I click Sheet 1, it will show the properties of the Sheet 1. What are all the properties you can do in the Sheet 1? So like the Sheet 1 is visible or not, scroll area. We will go through each one of it while we are in the next class. And this gray area, complete gray area, is for coding. This is where if you add a module, this is where you code. And if you want, you can add one more window here. By default, I don't think it is active. You can add watches here for debugging purposes. I will run the code here. I will see some, no, I will see some instant values to debug. For example, sub some name or I equal to 1 to 100. Next I. I'll have one counter dim some number. I'll just give number as integer. My variable is name is number. Number equal to I into I. And then I'll just close it. Only we have only this. Go to view, add immediate window here. And now so immediate window and watch window. So what this will do is immediate window will show any when you have breakpoints or when you are debugging the code, any errors, it will show that. And watches, you can actually add any watch. Watch means you want to see some variable, how the value of the variable is changing over the loop. So I want to see that. I don't want breakpoint. I just want to see here. So what I will do, go to debug, add watch. I want to see number. Okay, so it will add that expression number, the value. Currently the value is not there because we haven't run the code. Okay, just keep a breakpoint, run it. So we don't have to hover on the number. It will just give the value here. It will show the value in the real time. You can add as many watches as you want. So this is a very easy way. When I am developing the code, when I write some code, I will have many watches here. I don't know which value is what, because when we write the code, multiple values depends on multiple other values. So I want to track every value when I have one breakpoint. So let's say I have one thing called, let's say this is number 1, and I have one more variable called number 2. Number 1 is this. Number 2 equal to number 1 into I. Something I have just given some mathematical expressions. So I will add, no, there's no number anymore. You have to delete it. So go to debug, add watch number 1. Go to debug, add watch number 2. So now I have two numbers. I mean two variables. I can watch it as it is running in the loop, in the real time. So I don't have to go here, look what it is. I will just have numbers here automatically. So this is a good way of checking any variable value while the loop is executing. Okay. So understood, right? Any questions here? So you can go and activate it in view and watch window. Okay, now we will do something called there is something called absolute and relative references in Excel. I'll show you what is absolute and okay. So when you record a macro, I'll just click record it. Macro 1, just give some. Okay. When you record it, there is one little button under the record button. Use relative references. So whatever, okay, open this module. Now whatever you do, whatever you record, it is absolute, right? It is static. I can only enter value here, 1. Let's see. So range E7 dot select active cell dot value is formula is equal to 1, and range E8 dot select. So when I run range E9 dot select code, it will directly select E9. Other best example, delete everything here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have five. I have entered 5 values. So this is the code for that 5 values. And what I will do, I'll stop the recording. I will start the recording again. Give macro 2. So it will create another macro. Now what I will do, I will just add relative references. I will just enable this button. I don't want this. So if I just give 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have done the same function without using relative references and with using relative references. See the difference here. Here I'm selecting A1 and entering the value. Selecting A2 and entering the value. Selecting A3, A4, A5 and entering the values. So whenever I run this code, if I delete everything, run this code, it will only enter in these 5 cells because the cell address is given as a static variable, static value. So A2, you have to enter the value in A2 or A4, A5. What happens if I run here? So what it tells active cell dot select, which is active. Now this cell is active. Whichever cell has green border out of it, it's called active cell. That cell is active. When you write something, it will go inside that cell. So it will just check which cell is active and it will write 1 in that cell and it will offset. Don't worry about the syntax. We will come to this. It will just offset that particular cell address by 1 row and 0 columns. Leave this. It's not required. It will just offset by 1 row and 0 columns and it will select that cell. Unselected cell, it will enter the value 2. So if this is my active cell, I will run this code. It will enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything is good. Okay. I will make this as my active cell. Run. It will enter the numbers here. So it's relative. It is relative to the cell before it. The next cell depends upon the address of the previous cell because we're just offsetting from the previous active cell. Understood? Here, that's not the issue. I will just select A2. I don't care about my previous cell. Select A2, enter value, and select A3. I don't care about my previous cell, which is A2 or I don't know what it is. Select A3 and enter the value. But here, it depends on the previous cell. So this is called relative. It's related to the previous cell address. So that's why we are getting this. Offset by 1 row, enter the value. Offset by 1 row from the previous cell, enter value 3. So if I have, if this is my active cell, run this, run here from here. Understood the difference between absolute and relative? So normally in VBA, we don't use everything, in absolute. We don't actually run everything in relative. We'll use the combination of these two. Because I want 5 numbers from here to here. But I want, no, it has to be start from the C4, let's say C4. Then I have to select C4 first and use this. So it's a combination of absolute way of writing the code and relative way of writing the code. We will come to this. We will use when I use absolute way, absolute reference coding and relative reference coding. I will explain you why I have to use that, why not other. Now this is just introduction of how it looks, how the absolute and relative looks. Initial say everyone got this right. Everyone can able to run these two codes. Okay. And now we will see about okay. Excel VBA is objective oriented language. Object oriented language. It's same like C++, not C. So in C++ and in any object oriented language, we have hierarchy of the objects. So we have to refer to that particular object and then do something in that particular object. So this is the hierarchy in Excel VBA application. The first one is Excel application as an application. And if you go one step down, you will refer workbook. If you go one step down inside the workbook, you will get worksheets. If you go inside the worksheets, you will get cells and ranges. You will refer to these. All these are objects. And let's say the full hierarchy. If I want to write, let's say I have to write value of 10 in range A1. I have to write it. So if I have to write it in particular workbook, because I have multiple workbooks open. Now if I write this application dot workbooks, workbook name, worksheets, worksheet name, dot range, dot value equal to 10. So it will exactly go to this particular workbook, particular worksheet, particular range, and enter the value 10. Okay, it won't confuse itself. Let's say no, I will just remove one hierarchy from the formula. I will just remove applications.workbook. So what happens? I will just write worksheets.sheet1 dot range dot value equal to 10. What happens here? Excel is smart enough to assume you want to enter in the sheet 1 of the active workbook. Active workbook is again which workbook is open. That's an active workbook. If you minimize some workbook, it's not active anymore. Active workbook is a workbook which you used, which you used for the last time. That's all. If you have two workbooks, book 1 and book 2, and you have clicked some value, clicked some cell in book 2, that book 2 becomes active workbook. And if you want to enter anything in that book 2, you don't need to write the address. You don't need to write application.workbooks. You don't need to write this because it will just assume you have to write in book 2 and it will go to sheet 1 in the book 2 and it will enter the value. It is beneficial sometimes and it is not beneficial sometimes. If I just forgot to write, I have to enter the value in book 2 and book 1 is actually active workbook, but I have to write in book 2. It will just confuse. It will confuse me. The value will be entered in book 2, not book 1. So if you are working with multiple workbooks, it's always good to write the complete address of that workbook. Okay, this is called full hierarchy. And what happens if I don't even mention the sheet? I'll just this is what we have done so far. We just entered sheet name and cell value and the value. So it will whatever we have written in the previous are all like this. Sheet dot cells dot value. So it will just go to sheet 1 cells 3,2. It will enter which book it has to go. It will just assume the active workbook. Okay, it is smart. It will just assume okay, you have to go to active workbook. In that active workbook sheet 1, in that sheet 1 cells value. If I just enter cells 3,2 dot value, what happens? It will just assume okay, not sheet 1, whatever sheet is active right now, it will just go there and paste it. We will see how this works in real time. Insert module. I have a blank sheet. Sub active finder name. Okay, I have multiple sheets. Let's say sheet 2, sheet 3. Okay. So proper way of writing is worksheets sheet 1 dot cells 5, 5 equal to 10. So I haven't mentioned which workbook, so it will assume active workbook. It will go to sheet 1 cells 5, 5 10. So it will go to sheet 1, right? 5, 5 10. It entered the value 10 in the fifth row and fifth column. So now what I will do, I'll just remove this. So this is same way of writing like sheet 1 dot cells 5, 5 equal to 10. Both are same, but there's a little both are same. We have used these so far. We haven't used this. The only difference is here you can give the name of the workbook. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. But sheet 1 dot cells means if you can see here under in the project explorer, every sheet has its own index. Whatever is there in the bracket, it's the name of the sheet. If I change sheet 1 to first, it will change here first. Okay, this is the name of the sheet, whichever is in the bracket. Sheet 1, it's a index internally given by Excel application, VBA application. Okay, if I run sheet 1 dot cells, it will still run because sheet 1 is available here. But if I just run with naming first, it won't. It will show error because first is not available in the indices of worksheets. So then what I have to do? Worksheets. It's always better to use like this. Worksheets first. So in the worksheets, search the name as search the name first. In that sheet, if you find it in that sheet, go to cells and print that value. Okay, easy. So I'll remove it. I will run this. It will print 10. What if I just remove this? Just cells 5, 5 is equal to 10. Which sheet it's gonna print? Now sheet named first is active. Run this. It will print here. It hasn't printed in any other sheets. Now sheet 2 is active. It will print in sheet 2. No value in sheet 3. Now sheet 3 is active. Understood? So it will assume you want that value in the active sheet and active workbook. So any questions here? Okay. Okay, and we will quickly go through this color coding. We have already seen this. Okay, this is a little code. Whichever is blue, those are the keywords given by Excel. So dim, as, variant, sub, true. These are all the keywords inside the VBA. So these are all automatically colored as blue. And no, if you just give hyphen, just a small hyphen. Now one that is besides enter button and write something. This is my code. These are called comments. So how comments are useful is you can write some information about the code. No, if you go see the code after 1 or 2 years, you don't understand very easily. But if you have comments, this particular block of the code will do this. This block will calculate age, average age. Now you know that this particular current in the block below it will calculate age. So it's a just a tip you will leave yourself to make your code easy. And if you see something like this, many people I think has got errors, and they will have some error popped up. So let's say I will do this, it will show error, but it hasn't given me any pop-up, right? That's because go to tools and options. Auto syntax check is by default disabled, I mean enabled. So if I give this and click enter, okay. If I do this, click enter, it will show me some pop-up. No, some compile error. It will show that list separator. No, something is not available. Some error, object related error. It will show me like this, and it irritates me a lot because at the starting of the when you're starting learning the VBA, it's good. You can see the error, but no, over time you will fed up with that. So I suggest you to disable. Go to tools and options and disable auto syntax check. So now it will just show red. So that's enough actually. If you exactly want what is the error, you go and switch it on again. It will show the error. So that red defines that you have error. So this is how the color coding in the VBA looks like. And one best thing about VBA is you can actually add. No, you don't have to complete the sentence. Let's say worksheets. I want to write worksheets, but I don't want to write completely. Just click Control Space. It will show what are all the related keywords to that particular word what I have written. So I want worksheets. Click this, double click, it will enter, or work, Control Space, give tab, it will fill that word. Okay, this actually comes from auto list members. So it has a member list. If you tick it, it will, and when you click Control plus Space, it will automatically list the members that are applicable to the word you entered. Okay. And one good way is so I have many lines of code. So I have this loop and I have another loop away from it, and I have entered some values here. And I mean, I have entered some statements here, but I don't want to run this loop. So you have to comment it, right? When you comment it, when you keep this symbol, this line won't run. So if I don't want to run this loop, what I have to do, I have to give comments everywhere. Give hyphen everywhere, so everything will become green. So when I run the code, this will be skipped. So this is one way of doing it, but you have shortcuts for that also. Go to View, Toolbars, and click Edit. So give Toolbars, Edit. You will have this particular edit box. Here you can select and insert. No, I have removed the comments. Click everything, insert the comments. So you can insert comments to a block and remove that comments from some block which has comments. So you can do that easily here. Okay, now we don't have time. I'm almost completed. Shall I take 2 or 3 minutes extra? Any issues, anyone? Okay. So there are something called properties and methods. So every object has their own properties. So these are some examples. Hello. Anyone wants to talk? So we have let's say this workbook. This workbook is an object. It will refer to current workbook. Dot sheets. It will refer to sheets inside that workbook. So all these are objects. Dot sheets is object. In this workbook, charts. These are all called objects. Don't worry about this. I'm just telling you how to recognize objects and properties of that objects. So these are called objects. So you are referring some physical objects inside the Excel sheet, Excel workbook or sheet, wherever it is. Properties are like the qualities of that particular chart or sheet or cell. So let's say range A1 dot font dot color. Dot font is an object because you can change the font size, font type, everything. So this font acts like an object here. And that color is a quality. So that particular range and font in that particular range will have some color. So that's a dot color. That's a property. Name is one of the other properties. Sales.interior dot color. Interior, again, it acts like object here. And the final thing, dot color is a property here. So this is how you recognize whether it's object or property. And there are something called method. Method is the predefined code inside the Excel, which does a function for you. Like if I just say this workbook dot close, it closes the workbook. This workbook dot save as, it will save the workbook. So it's doing some function. It's not just referring to some object, or it's not just changing the name or color. It is doing some combination of actions. If I just do range A1 dot delete, it's a function. So these are called methods or functions. These are called properties, color and interior of color and all. And objects are actual physical entities or nodes inside your workbook. So this is how you recognize them. And final thing, if you go just 1 second. Okay. So if you go for tool and references, it will open some references here. This is just introduction. I'm just showing you, where the libraries are inside the VBA. So let's say I have, these are some of the libraries in the VBA given by Microsoft. Let's say I have to control PowerPoint using Excel macros. You can go and find Microsoft PowerPoint. Microsoft PowerPoint 16.0 object library. So only by clicking this, you can control the PowerPoint as an application from here. Okay, so when we control some other programs with macro, I will go in detail what to enable, what to disable. Currently, we will. Currently, this is just an introduction, so don't worry about preferences. Okay. Any questions today? I think it's enough for us to wrap up the class. Any questions for today's session? And by the way, please try those things. I will share this workbook with all of you guys, and please try to write these particular macros what I have given you. Which are, sorry. Yeah. So print some prime numbers between 1 to 100. Print some Fibonacci sequence. And that's all. Those two, please try to do it.